Welcome to another episode of The Missing Link in Your Healing. It's Antoinette coming to you with a very short but very powerful and also very simple somatic tool to calm the nervous system and to heal the body. I was going to do something different for this episode, but on the back of my own experience in the last 10 days, and using this tool yesterday, I decided on a very deep intuitive level, but also practical level, to share this particular tool. So we've talked in all our previous episodes about the unconscious, how it informs our limiting beliefs, the way we live when we're older, our coping mechanisms and coping strategies. We've talked about the role of emotions in our health, how regulating our nervous system, as in making sure that our fight and flight is only in place when we really need it, when we're in some kind of real danger and we need our body to be in fight and flight mode. We've explained how fight and flight creates all kinds of reactions in our body, cortisol and adrenaline pumping, the end result of which is that our immune system is severely compromised. Either our immune system weakens and we can't fight off disease, or our immune system attacks ourselves and we get things like autoimmune diseases. We've talked about how to feel our feelings. We've gone in depth into fear, especially. We are offering a masterclass next week on this. The link will be below, how to deal with fear. Loretta and I will be recording together again and doing some episodes on anger. I've brought to you a very powerful visualization tool in last week's episode, creative visualization, which I've used very successfully to heal my body and connect to all of myself. This tool that I'm going to bring to you today, I only discovered very recently, and I realized, although I knew it, but deep embodied realization and experience, that doing the right somatic practice to calm our nervous system is one very important piece of the puzzle of becoming a self-healer. So the sensations play out on our body. If you are starting to become compassionately self-aware, if you are paying attention to what's going in your in your mind, your emotions, and hopefully in your body, you will feel everything plays out in the body. Everything, the unconscious, plays out in the body. So even the stuff we're not aware of is playing out in our body. Our conscious thoughts and emotions are going to play out in our body, but it's usually the hidden stuff, the hidden stress, that's creating uncomfortable sensations in our body. And we've talked and brought tools about how to sit with this, how to work with this. And what I'm going to bring you today is another tool, but of a different nature. I would call it somatic. It's a body practice. It's very simple. It's not high energy. It's very gentle. And it's exceptionally effective. We all have different bodies, so different things work for different people. But it's worth giving this a try. I can tell you it is unequivocally one of the most settling things. And when I say settling, this exercise was designed actually to realign the spine, hips, and the body in a way to bring the body into physical alignment, to help with backache and other aches and pains, and even chronic pain. But I have found, and I've now come across research that shows that it calms the nervous system. If our body is in physical alignment, our nervous system comes into alignment. Once the nervous system is in alignment, the unnecessary fight and flight, the flight and fight that's creating anxiety, that's creating fluster and flurry, that's creating unsettledness in us, that's creating anger, that's creating irritation, in my case, that's making us feel disembodied, actually, and making our body feel extremely uncomfortable, and often displaying physical symptoms, not just the discomfort of the anger or the fear, but maybe an ache or a pain or a stiffness. In my case, in the last week, it's been a combination, and it built up over a week, and I know why it happened. Once I've shared this tool, I'm going to share my personal experience because it's a powerful testimony to how no matter how far we are into this personal journey, we can relapse, we can go off track. And the only thing that matters is that we recognize that and we bring ourselves back on track, and we know how to do that. And often when we go off track, it's because we've become very busy with tasks, or life's become very overwhelming, as it can for anybody, even when you're deep into this path. We can have a lot of external events that demand our attention, or that can bring great sadness to us, like a personal suffering of people outside of us or loss. We can have some very big, exciting projects, but that demand attention. We can have external things like weather creating chaos in our lives. And at the moment, it seems so many of these things are coming together all at the same time. And no matter how self-aware you are, or how far down this path, you can go off track. So after the exercise, I'm going to share with you how I went off track and how we can go off track. It could provide some valuable insight. But right now, I want to present this incredible tool because for me, especially when there's a lot going on, like there was in the last 10 days, and I just am unable to do all the practices that keep me balanced and calm. This really short, simple practice can be a very quick way to get back on track. And I haven't been doing it as much as I could have the last 10 days because I thought I didn't have the time. But honestly, it can take anything from 5 to 20 minutes, this exercise. And yesterday, in 15 minutes of this practice, my extremely agitated nervous system, my deep grief from a friend dying, my overwhelm with an exciting project that's demanding a lot and a lot going on in my personal space, within 15 minutes, I had the same life, same external events, but a completely different inner space and a completely settled body. So with that, I introduce to you something called static back. At the end of the exercise, I'll tell you where this came from, and I'll put all the information in the comments below. So static back Static back. Sorry, I had a short pause there. Not quite sure why. Static back is it's a posture actually. It's not even an exercise. It's a simple and extremely effective posture. It's a posture that was designed to help relax and realign the spine while relieving tension in the back, hips, neck, and shoulders. It looks easy, and it is easy for most people. If you can't get on the floor and get up again, this may not be the practice for you. But if you can, don't be it's exceptionally simple, but don't underestimate its effectiveness. So the main purpose of this is to allow the body to relax and to use gravity to settle the torso down to the floor. Static back uses the floor as a template to bring what I've said earlier, the back, spine, hips, shoulders, and necks to a neutral position. It's one of the silver bullets out there of exercises for pain relief, whether it's shoulder, neck, or hip. And for me, it's created the dual job of completely calming my nervous system and bringing me back into alignment, not only with my body, but with who I really am. So this is how it goes. Get down on the floor, lie on your back, put your legs on a chair, a bed, or a bench. The important thing is to create a right angles at the hip and knee joints. The upper legs should be against the chair and the calves and heels on the chair. Knees and ankles are hip width apart, feet relaxed. Arms are palm up at 45 degrees angle from your body. Relax. Just relax and stay in this position from anything from 5 to 15 minutes. Two very important things to note is breathe from your diaphragm, from your abdominal area. Your abdominal area should raise as you inhale and fall as you exhale. And most importantly, please do not be on your phone sending messages, listening to messages. Try not to do your to-do list in your head. Just lie there. Try and get into your body. Put on some relaxing music or central nervous system calming sound vibrations. I often do that. Or I often listen to a really amazing podcast like I did this morning. Put on a timer and just let your body do the work. The body speaks the mind. The body speaks the unconscious. The body knows. The body never lies. Symptoms are an opportunity, as we've said. Do not bypass your body. Your body is speaking to you, and what it's saying may not be obvious. Your body might be reflecting in its tension, in its irritability, in its ache or pain, some unconscious thing that's going on. It may be reflecting to you that something in your life needs your attention or maybe needs some change. It may be showing you that internally your unconscious feels unsafe. Maybe showing you that there's some suppressed emotion that's trying to come to the fore. It could even be a past memory that just needs recognition. It's very important, as we've mentioned, to be able to dive into your intuition. Once you've got the self-awareness of what's going on in your body and what's playing out in your mind and emotions and the body, to be able to use your intuition to know what to do. But it's not easy to access intuition when we're freaking out, when our nervous system's freaking out. And it happens to all of us, the best of us. So when your nervous system's freaking out and your body's screaming at you, and you find you're playing up, not deliberately, but you're feeling irritable or anxious, stop. Stop and pause. Stop and do a few breaths. Stop and do whatever feels right for you. But something I can tell you works exceptionally powerful is the static back process. Exceptionally powerful. It's really worth trying. This process comes from a man called Peter Essecu. I cannot pronounce his name, so I will write it in the show notes. He has written a book, and I'll put that in the notes, called Pain Free, a revolutionary approach to dealing with chronic pain. This man's exercises he calls exercises, as in they're all very, very easy and simple. We all think when things are simple, they're not effective. It's been one of the conditionings and socialization that's been brought to us that has led us astray from true, deep healing. The person that brought this exercise to me, bless her heart, she lives in the small village where I do. And she started helping me after my knee replacement because I was struggling to rehabilitate myself 100%. And she started doing Pilates classes with me. And ironically, I had had this book for 1 year already on my bookshelf because some random stranger in the city where I lived, when I told her about my knee replacement, she said, "Do not have the knee replacement. Get this book. You'll never have to have it." I got the book, flipped through it, and said, "Oh, this is ridiculous. This will never stop me having a knee replacement." Now, I'm a person that deeply believes in stuff like this, and I thought it was ridiculous. It was too simple. So I just put the book on my bookshelf. Will blow me over, as the divine would have it. 2 years or something later, I'm struggling to get over my knee replacement, and this beautiful earth angel here comes and helps me with some processes and exercises, and one of them she tells me to do every day of my life is static back. And I just got goosebumps, and I just went, "I don't believe it. I've got that book." And she said, "Well, that book is a large part of where the answer lies." Anyway, that isn't the only process or exercise I've done. I've been working with this lady now for 2 years, Diane Blau. Thank you, Diane. And not only have I completely recovered from my knee replacement, but I, at the moment, do not have to have my other knee replaced. The surgeon said to me he can't believe that I'm so functional on my other knee. I have no cartilage in that knee. On the x-ray, it says I should have had the knee replacement long ago. And I can walk at least an hour every day. I walk twice a day. I go to stretch and Pilates exercises. Yes, there's a few things I can't do, but I'm exceptionally functional and pain-free. And this exercise has played a large role. So I'm now going into the physical stuff. But honestly, the thing is that we've got to make a choice in our bodies to shift the sensations and the fear-based messaging that our nervous system is sending us. And this tool as well as some of the other processes in his book. You can get the book. There's lots of videos out there on his work. Has been supremely effective for me. So I've said that about 100 times, but I will happily send you a picture of this posture because it's the best and easiest way to see how it works. I don't think I can put a picture in the links in the notes below the podcast or the YouTube, but I will very happily free and for absolutely no other reason but to help you email you the picture. No strings attached. But you can also dive into YouTube, and I'll put a link to a clip for this man's work, or lots of people are putting out this process. And if you just Google static back, it'll come up with the exercise. So static back, as well as the Alexander technique, the way Gary Ramsay taught it, and I'll bring that to you in another episode, I have found exceptionally effective, short, simple, somatic practices to align mind, body, and soul. Now, Loretta has already brought in some of our episodes, and we'll be going through these in the Fear Masterclass, How to Face Everything and Recover Masterclass, which we're doing next week. But the recording will be available afterwards for a very small price to make it accessible to everybody. I'll put the links below. But we've also talked about these tools in as we go through our podcast episodes. The Jin Jin Jitsu tools are also physical tools, in a way, simple physical tools which realign the body energy, which helps with our physical, energetic, and spiritual alignment. So there was 22 minutes, which I intended to be 10, but I hope it was helpful. I know that just listening to this process in a 20-minute podcast will probably not be that useful, but I've contextualized it as well as I can. And the last 10 days, because I got excitedly busy with creating this masterclass that Loretta and I are doing, as well as with this podcast and other exciting work, writing my book, and dealing with my best friend dying, my mother with her dementia and incredibly awful decline, being far away from both of them, having extreme weather in our village and lots of things to deal with in my home. I find myself, and this is what many of us humans do, not sticking to my daily practices, my embodied practices, as well as my visualization practices. I even went off track with my Pilates classes, and I started doing less walking and I got more busy. I excitedly dived into my work at 5 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee. And that in itself is not a problem. But 5 o'clock in the morning is when I normally do my visualization. I do my static back. I go to Pilates at 7. I walk on the beach and I start working at 8. So I start diving in, start missing my somatic practices and my nature walks. Only did it 2 or 3 times out of 7. Start soothing myself, because then, of course, when I stop doing that and I get busier, diving more into work, plus processing deep grief of my mother and my friend and dealing with lots of practical issues around my home, what happened? My nervous system got deregulated. Deregulated nervous system. My emotions of anger, irritability start surfacing. I start freaking out a bit. My body starts shouting at me. I started getting extreme indigestion, which I don't get. Waking up at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. I even got a pain in my right side. Started getting shooting pains in my head. Oh, and yesterday morning I was like, okay, I don't care how much I've got to do. or how much grief I have to process, but I'm going to lie down and I'm going to do static back for 15 minutes. And while I was doing it, I listened to an episode on anger on Dr. Nicole Lapira's podcast. Incredible. And she talked about exactly what I'm saying now. It was exactly what I needed to hear. She talked about it in relation to anger, but it applies to anything. She talked about how she herself, like me, dived so much into work and excitement about what she had to do, writing her new book, and then started finding a week later that she was playing up and she was feeling really angry and resentful in her relationships. And yeah, of course, we stop in our tracks when we're self-aware, compassionately self-aware. And at some point, it might even go a week down the line, even with Nicole Lapira, who's my absolute hero and many millions of people's. And we wake up to ourselves and we go, oh my goodness, I haven't been doing my body practice. I haven't been taking care of myself. Taking care of myself might mean I remove myself from my home and I maybe go for a cup of tea. It could mean I go for a long walk on the beach instead of working. It could mean I do static back instead of diving into my computer. It could mean that I fast for a day. It could mean a number of things, but we need to know that we're not self-caring when we start feeling extreme discomfort and dysregulation in our bodies and our minds and our spirit. So this practice today for me brought me within 15 minutes straight back into alignment. And it's extremely enjoyable. The mind will tell you it's boring. The mind will tell you, oh, I wish this was over so I can get on with whatever it is, my dancing or my beach walking or my working, because this practice is just lying down. And very often, as my yoga teacher said many years ago, those simple, still practices are the very hardest for us to do. So my 10 minutes has turned into 30. I thank my body for yet again bringing me there. Don't bypass your body. Everything Loretta and I have brought you is important. The awareness, the insight, the feeling your feelings tools, the unconscious work, the limiting belief work. And all of that is very important. But it's also important to know that the body work needs to be done. So much love. And thank you for being at the other end of this. Thank you for being one of those people that's doing the work for yourself, within yourself. And thank you for journeying with us, because this is a journey and it's not always easy. I can tell you right now, even for myself, for Loretta, even for Dr. Nicole Lapira, if you listen to her podcast, bless her soul, she's sharing her own journey and she's helping millions of people in the world. She's deep into this journey, and she will tell you, as I will tell you, the deeper we get into this journey of self-healing, sometimes the harder it gets and the more uncomfortable it gets, because that's how it goes when we dive into the unconscious and we start healing. So we're here to walk each other home. We're here to know it's okay to not be okay. And we're here to bring tools, awareness, and insight in our own journey of diving into the discomfort, coming, whether it's physical illness, which is what Loretta and I focus on, or it's just mild discomfort in the body. The body knows, the body never lies, and the body will bring us home in one way or another. So I hope this has helped, whether you're very ill or you're just having a mild freak out or some indigestion like me, which is now gone. So much love, and thank you for being on this journey, and well done. We look forward to hearing from you. Send some comments Ask some questions, give us some input. We'd love to engage with you. Goodbye.